ShaCarri Richardson just did the unthinkable. In a move that no one saw coming, she took a bold stand against Michael Johnson and his highly hyped Grand Slam track league. And now, the entire world of athletics is buzzing. Did she just expose GST as a sinking ship before it even set sail? Or is this just the beginning of a power shift that could reshape the future of track and field forever? Let's rewind for a second. Michael Johnson, an icon in track and field and an 8-time world champion sprinter, launched a brand new global league called Grand Slam Track, GST. His vision? To turn track and field into a year-round spectacle with 4 major events designed to mimic the success of tennis Grand Slams and golf majors. On paper, it sounded like the exact thing track needed. Consistent, high-stakes competition, big names, bigger crowds, more money, more eyeballs. Johnson's mission was clear: revolutionize the sport. To help make it happen, Johnson and his team locked in TV deals with Peacock and the CWBR, ensuring fans could actually watch events live, something track has long struggled with outside the Olympics. The infrastructure was there, the ambition was there, but something was missing. Actually, someone. ShaCarri Richardson. She's not just another athlete, she's the face of American sprinting. Bold, unapologetic, magnetic. She's the type of personality that puts track back in the headlines and fills seats at meets. And when she didn't join GST, people noticed. And then came the shocker. She wasn't just sitting it out, she was standing her ground. According to multiple reports, ShaCarri wasn't impressed with the money on the table. For an athlete of her caliber, she believed the offer didn't reflect her value. Not just as a sprinter, but as a global icon. And honestly, she had a point. In a sport where sponsorships are scarce and paydays even scarcer, why settle for less when you know you bring more? Her absence hit harder when paired with Noah Lyles, another superstar and reigning world champ, who also passed on GST. Lyles cited concerns over visibility and structure. For GST to succeed, it needed names, not just fast athletes, but star athletes. Without ShaCarri or Lyles, GST looked more like a test run than a revolution. But it didn't stop there. Michael Johnson decided to take the conversation public. In March 2025, he posted a tweet listing America's track legends: Jesse Owens, Carl Lewis, Flojo, Jackie Joyner-Kersee, and yes, himself. And then he asked, well, what do we all have in common? And who's next? One glaring issue? ShaCarri Richardson's name was nowhere on that list. The omission was loud, and fans didn't take it lightly. Social media blew up. Where's ShaCarri? That trended on Twitter. Track fans, analysts, and even fellow athletes were stunned. Whether intentional or not, Johnson's list sent a message: you're not there yet. Sources close to Richardson say she was surprised, even disappointed, but chose to focus on training rather than drama. She didn't clap back on Twitter. She didn't start a rant on Instagram, but she didn't need to. The track world did it for her. The response was swift. Fans flooded timelines praising ShaCarri and questioning Johnson's motives. Was this an ego play? Was he threatened by a new generation of sprinters who don't follow the traditional path? Was GST really about elevating the sport or about control? While all this unfolded, Johnson stood his ground. In an interview, he boldly declared, "We don't need anyone else. We'll take all the fastest people, but we don't have to have them." It was a statement that reeked of confidence. Or maybe desperation. After all, if your league doesn't need ShaCarri Richardson, what exactly does it stand for? This wasn't just a business disagreement, it was becoming a battle for the future of the sport. GST had the framework, but ShaCarri had the fans, the momentum, and something Johnson couldn't manufacture: authenticity. She's not just about running fast, she's about representation, confidence, culture. Saying no to GST wasn't just about money, it was about principle, about knowing her worth and refusing to settle. Meanwhile, fans were left asking, if GST doesn't have ShaCarri Richardson or Lyles or Benjamin, can it still claim to be the premier platform for track and field? ShaCarri's decision created a domino effect. If the sport's biggest star won't buy in, why should anyone else? Sponsors took note, broadcasters took note, and more importantly, young athletes watching from home took note. In one bold move, ShaCarri flipped the power dynamic and proved that athletes have more leverage than ever before. ShaCarri Richardson's decision to stay out of Grand Slam track wasn't just a personal choice, it was a statement. While Michael Johnson pushed GST as the future of the sport, ShaCarri was busy creating her own lane, proving she didn't need anyone's blueprint to stay at the top. She chose to double down on the World Athletics circuit and the Diamond League, putting her focus on the international stage where the stakes were just as high and the spotlight even brighter. Her path was about staying authentic to herself. Where GST promised structure, ShaCarri offered unpredictability. Where GST wanted to build drama, she brought the real thing. Fans weren't tuning in to see a manufactured league with clean graphics and choreographed interviews. They were watching ShaCarri for the fire, the emotion, and the thrill of not knowing what she'd do next. And while GST was still trying to fill its athlete roster, ShaCarri was out there clocking world-leading times. At one of her most recent races, she cruised to a 10.92 in her heat. Easy work for someone at her level. The message was loud and clear. She wasn't losing anything by skipping Johnson's league. If anything, she was growing her brand even more by staying true to the platforms that had already helped make her a star. The thing about ShaCarri is that she doesn't need validation from anyone. Not from fans, not from the media, and definitely not from former legends trying to control the narrative. She's part of a new wave of athletes who understand their power. She knows she's marketable, she knows she's influential, and she knows that in today's world, being fast is only half the game. You also need to be able to connect. Michael Johnson might have decades of accolades, but in the eyes of many younger fans, it's ShaCarri who represents the sport's future. Her decision to reject GST felt like a torch passing in reverse. The old guard tried to build something on their terms, and the new stars said, not like that. Of course, Johnson hasn't backed down. He's moved forward with GST, and the league has picked up some steam. The broadcasting deals with NBC and the CW are real wins, and events are starting to get more buzz. But that gap, the absence of athletes like ShaCarri, is still obvious. GST may be exciting, but it lacks that edge, that spark, that chaos that makes sports unforgettable. Track and field isn't just about times and medals, it's about personalities, storylines, rivalries, emotion. And right now, no one brings that better than ShaCarri Richardson. She's unpredictable, unapologetic, and impossible to ignore. Her stand against GST also sparked a bigger conversation about how track and field is evolving. It's not just about one league or another. It's about giving athletes choices, about fair pay, about respect, about building platforms that don't just showcase athletes, but also give them a voice. The fans noticed, other athletes noticed, and the media couldn't stop talking about it. ShaCarri's absence from GST might have hurt the league in the short term, but it elevated the discussion around athlete empowerment in a way the sport desperately needed. And for ShaCarri, it's just another move in a career defined by bold decisions. She's had setbacks, she's had comebacks, and through it all, she stayed true to herself. That's why she has such a loyal following. People connect with realness. They connect with vulnerability. They connect with confidence that doesn't ask for permission. So what's next? That's the question fans are dying to know. Will she eventually give GST a shot if the terms are right? Or will she continue to carve out her path, racing where and when she wants, on her own terms? If history tells us anything, it's that ShaCarri will do what feels right to her. And whatever that is, the world will be watching. Because in the end, the story isn't just about a league or a tweet or a race. It's about the power shift we're witnessing in real time. The rise of athletes who refuse to be boxed in, who won't play by outdated rules, who are redefining what it means to be great. ShaCarri Richardson didn't need Grand Slam track to make headlines. She just needed to be herself. And with every race she runs, every barrier she breaks, she's reminding the world that the future of track and field isn't something you build in a boardroom. It's something you run for, with fire in your heart and the wind at your back.